Hi there! It's me, Katie, back with more crocheting with you today. I am off of my schedule, obviously. If you watched the last stream, you'll know that my kids' school schedules and things like that have kind of thrown me off of it. So they had a day off yesterday, so I had to stay home with them, didn't come into the office. So here I am today. And we are going to be continuing and hopefully finishing up our Charmander today, which is perfect because it's the end of January. I'm in the right month. Yeah, it's the end of January, so why not finish him up? So we're going to do all the pieces, and I also did figure out the kind of oblong eye style, something that I'm fairly happy with myself, so we're going to go into that too. I'm going to show you how to make that if you are like me and you prefer to have your yarn project all yarn. So I'm going to give you a quick tutorial of that. It is fairly simple. It kind of seems complicated, but it's really not. So yeah, let's dive in. Why don't we? So the first thing we're going to be doing is me telling you where to get the pattern if you don't have it by now. This is from oneupcrochet.com. Ash is her name. It took me this long to look up what her name is, but her name is Ash. She does amazing patterns with these amigurumi Pokemon toys. So go check her out if you want to print it out. Easier to follow along with. I know that's what I've done. And I found it, by the way. Last time I thought I had accidentally thrown it away with a bunch of other papers. But alas, I did not, and I found it, so yay! Excuse me. So, let's go. Alright, so this is what we ended with last time. We got our head and our body and our tail connected with our Charmander guy. And today we are going to start with putting that big belly piece on it. So that's what we're going to start with first and foremost. So what we want to do is first align it. So you want that part just like 2 rows. It's about good. 2 rows down from the neck for the belly. Or if you need to go lower, you can, depending on how yours stretches. The yarn that I chose for this is a little stretchier, so like if I do it loosely, I can do it here, but if I needed to stretch it, I could go out further. So depending on the yarn that you chose, you can put it anywhere in there, just to make sure that this last part reaches the tip of your tail. Okay, because that's where we're going to start. So you want to make sure that you've at least got some type of big belly thing happening. Because we are starting at the back side. And all you're going to do, this is going to take the longest bit, but all you're going to do is you are going to just stitch into your orange, oh, he's in the way, hold on. You're going to stitch into your orange body, into all those single crochets that you put along the border, into body, and secure it on there. I've already got mine threaded this time. Came prepared for once. I know, that's weird for me. Not have to be scrambling to find something. But it happens every now and then. Alright, so I'm just going to make sure mine is right there on the tip of the tail. And apparently my dog came with me today. Or at least her little hairs did. Alright, so we're going to go through there, and we are just going to go right into that first stitch. Now I will say that if you've got kind of a bend in your tail, if you recall, we started the tail with a magic circle, so you want to make sure that that end piece stays open. Don't crochet over top of that. So you should be crocheting into those first stitches around. I know it's not focusing very well, but the first stitches around that end hole, because we will be going back and adding yarn into that whole area for the fire tail. So you want to make sure you have that space to work around it. Alright, back to what I was doing. Line that back up again. Alright, and this is going to be the longest part of our guy because it's the biggest piece. So, surprise. If you didn't think it was going to be the longest, surprise. But you're just going to work right down the tail. In as straight as a line as you can, and for the most part those are all going to line up really well, so it shouldn't be too difficult. Again, if you like pins, this would be a great place to use pins. Me, I'm just going to hold mine because that's what I prefer. Now that I got my first few stitches in place, and I know the tail's not going anywhere, I hope y'all had a great weekend. I watched some playoff football here. It was annoying. I mean, my team, Steelers, they're not in it anyway, so I don't really have any skin in the games, but man, those officials, it is something else to watch anymore, that's for sure. Then they wonder why football fans say that it's rigged half the time. Because of the calls officials make. And it was mostly the Bengals-Chiefs game. It was just bad. If you watched it, leave me a comment about what you thought it was, because I thought it was a train wreck for officiating. It was just plain awful, in my opinion. So many bogus calls, so many missed calls, and they replay the whole down, for Pete's sake, for a couple of seconds off the clock. How difficult would it have been to just say, the result of the play stands, add so many seconds because the clock was running or something like that. But it was just nutty. And for a championship game, it was disaster. I told you I'm not the best sewer. So it does take me a minute to get through some stuff. So if you are much faster than I, please feel free to walk away, go get a snack or something. If you're watching live, use the restroom. Whatever it is, once you get finished. I know you're not finished now unless you are super speedy, in which case, bravo if you are. But I'm sure by the time you are finished with whatever task you choose to do, I probably will still be here for a moment. But I can't move on with y'all until we get through this. So here I am. Plugging away. I am through the first side of his tail though. Yay! That is secured on. Now we're going to work across the bottom. And even though I thought that I left a a very large tail behind. I am second guessing that. I feel like I am going to run out of tail. And boy, that just sounds wrong. Sorry. The tail of my yarn. Keeps popping out there. Oh, I brought some stuffing with me. Don't bring the stuffing out with you. Nobody wants to see that. And I did it again. But it's okay. I shoved it back in. It's all good. I feel like my whole body's rotating here. I'm trying to fix it. But that just comes down to, like I said, my poor sewing skills. Nothing to do with the pattern or anything, just my rudimentary sewing skills. I can't seam a stitch. Gotta pull the belly down. There we go. And while you may be tempted to skip some stitches just because of how it's falling on your toy, I recommend that you not, just for the sake of design. Because if anybody really cares and are looking at your stitches, they're gonna see that you skipped one or two here and there, and just, people just like to see that it's evenly distributed. Just gives it a nice, cleaner, finished look. So, even if you're bad at it. I don't know why, but I've had the Burger King theme song stuck in my head for a while, and I won't lie, it's pretty annoying. It's not even a very fun theme song. But it's there nonetheless. Okay, I've almost reached completion of one side of this thing. How are y'all doing? You getting there? You done? Just waiting for me to catch up. Sorry. Obviously, if you are finished, my yarn's a little twisted here. Whee! Unwind. Obviously, if you are finished and you have the opportunity, feel free to fast forward through this part, get to where you need to be in the walkthrough. I'm not saying anything crazy important, obviously. Just me and my musings. Most definitely going to need to attach some yarn to this, because I am already down to this and I got a whole side to go. what I get for thinking I had enough. Charmander, your chin is in my way. So once I finish this today, I have to find somewhere to hide it so that when my son comes into my office this afternoon, he doesn't see it. There's really nowhere to hide things in my office, and my needle just fell off there. Could not grab it. There we go. Alright, I'm working down the backside. Woohoo! Working away from Mr. Charmander's chin here, because gotta squeeze him so I can get in place. Oh yeah, I was just saying that there's really nowhere to hide anything in this office. Most everything's pretty exposed. I think I have one drawer in here that he could fit in, that my son wouldn't look in. So here's hoping that that works out. So other parts of this, I probably will expedite a little bit for the sake of time. You know, like I may only attach one arm or, you know, one hip, you know, what have you. Everything that's just doubled up. Because I want you to see how it goes on, get that visual, because you know, that's how I am. I'm a very visual learner. So for those of you like me out there, and I just realized, speaking of visuals, you can't see what I'm doing. There we go. It was just easier to set him down at this point. Especially since my yarn keeps twisting up on me. I don't even know what I was just saying now. Oh, yes. Okay. I got it back. So, just for the sake of time, I'm going to make sure you can see what I'm doing when I add the parts. But I feel like you probably wouldn't need to watch me put on, you know, both legs or, you know, 6 toes. You know, once you get one, you kind of get the feel of it. And I have faith that you're smart folk and can figure out how to do it a second time. See, now it's taunting me, making me second guess if I'm going to have enough or not. I didn't think I would at the beginning, but now that we're in the final stretch, it's really got me thinking. I don't know. I might still be able to do it. We'll see. And if I get down to it and it like negates me just by a hair, I might yell at it. Yes, I do yell at inanimate objects. And if you don't, I'm sorry. Because you know it's better to yell at inanimate things than real people. Get those frustrations out. Save a lot of hurt and heartache by taking it out on your stuffies. We are getting there. I know this isn't the most exciting thing. Don't have to tell me twice. I know. But I gotta get through it nonetheless. This one's being difficult. There we go. I have Charmander's butt in my face. I know. The yarn is twisted up yet again. We are getting there, my friends. We are getting there. I promise. Hope you've gotten a snack. Maybe get some popcorn or something. Now I want popcorn. Sounds good. Some good kettle corn. Yeah. That sounds like a nice snack. Love me some kettle corn. I used to be strictly a kind of, movie butter popcorn kind of a person, but kettle corn has grown on me over the years, and I just like it so, so much. I never disliked it, but it's quickly become the preferred popcorn in my house. Y'all, I'm so close. Do you think we can make it with this yarn? I sincerely hope so. I do not want to add this tiny little bit if I don't have to. Almost there. I know I've said it a few times, but this time it's really, really true that we are almost there. At least for me. Like I said, you've probably been done for a bit. I have no doubt that I am one of the slowest sewers known to man. That's probably an exaggeration, but either way, I am not quick. I know it. You know it. We all know it. I own it. It's all good. I can handle it. And technology allows you to skip it. Alright, we got just a couple more stitches and it's done. If the stitches cooperate, and I'm gonna have enough yarn. Woo! In all honesty, it's one of those things where you always wish you cut the perfect amount of yarn because you're always wasting so much of it when you cut it off. And essentially, I had the perfect amount. And I don't think I ever have before. At least not this close. Final stitch. And we are through. Look at that. We have a belly panel. Mine's a little off center, but that's okay. My son will still love it. I stretched it out on one side so you can see. It's like this side has that curve. And this side doesn't. That's okay. I'll take it. It's still a win for me. Alright, I am just going to thread this through so I can hide the tail. And that's all you need to do. So once you are through there, you're just gonna thread that tail through. And cut it off. And there you have it. He's got a belly. Kind of looks a little snake-like right now. Serpent-like. He slithers around. So, I mean, I guess they're in the same family for intents and purposes. So, lizards and snakes. Right? They're in the same family. I think I got that right. I'm not great at my zoology of all of those all the time. All right, so now that we have finally gotten through that was a good 20 minutes. We are going to attach the hips. So the hips are the big kind of roundy things, kind of look like a half egg. Got the opening on the one side. Okay. So those hips are going to be attached. Sorry. Okay. So we're going to sew the hips to the sides of the body, the side of the hip piece with the six consecutive decreases in round 7 should face the front of the body. Okay? So all of those decreases that we did here to give it that shape, that's going to be facing towards the front. Okay? So you'll kind of have that angle in. Can I show it to you very well? So see how get that angle in towards the body there. And then you will do the same on the other side. Like so. Whoop. Helps if I get it in the right frame. Okay, so that's what we're going for. Got it? I am only going to do one, like I said. I'll probably just work on the right side here. And I am going to try and keep it exactly on the side as best as I can. So I'm putting about 1 stitch space between the hip and the belly. So if you can see that, I don't know how well you can. I'm going to be putting it kind of like that. So there's one to two stitch spaces between the two. Alright, so let me get my needle on here again. And I've already got mine stuffed. If you don't have yours stuffed, make sure you stuff it and stuff it well. I honestly have no idea what that means. I don't know what it means to be rated. I've been rated though. Hi! We are making a Charmander toy out of crochet. Well, that's fun. You're my first raid. Thanks for joining. I've been working on putting this together for 7 parts, so this is the end of it. We're in the assembly stages at the moment. Woo. Well, thank you for that support. I appreciate that. I will take a look at that later today, because I am new to this, so I love love all the info I can get. Alrighty. We are just going along here. If any of y'all happen to be interested in making your own and your crocheters, I have all of these uploaded to my YouTube channel. Same name, KT Plays 2022. Because obviously they disappear off of Twitch here. But if you want to make your own and you want to go through the walkthrough, it can be found there on my channel. Like I said, this is the final part. Of putting them all together. What kind of things do you like to crochet, Binge Bear? You like amigurumi or blankets or baby items? What's your niche? Scarves and blankets. Oh, a lefty. From what I have been told, it is difficult to learn how to crochet left-handed. Is that true? Especially if you're learning from a righty. Knitting's a lot worse. Knitting intimidates me so much. I haven't actually tried my hand at it yet, but whew. Learning in reverse. That's a good way to look at it. I think. Obviously I'm not left-handed, so I don't know if it would be. But yeah, knitting is just I don't know what it is. It's the two needle thing. Scares me a little bit. I'm with you. It just, like I said, it's intimidating to look at. I mean, I love the way everything looks. A friend of mine knits as well. She both knits and crochets, and some of the stuff she pulls out is gorgeous. She makes cardigans and things, and whew! I don't know how they do it. Oh yeah, I've heard about those clover hooks. I also like diamond painting. Yeah, I've heard those clover hooks are a pretty penny, but they last forever. Which they should. Alright, final stitches for this hip here. And then we're going to add his foot. I can see how that would be a draw. Because that insertion is key. If you can do it smoothly like that, oh, that's just beautiful. All right, final threading to get this through here, and then we'll move on to the foot. All right. Little snip snip here, and a snip snip there. And we have a hip joint in the house. All right, now we're going to attach one of our little footsies to our foot. Put our needle in there. All right, and then these guys, shocker, it's gonna get sewn to the front. Who would have thought? Just try and make that as straight and as you can. I think I'm gonna put mine a little further down on the hip, then up. But obviously you can place yours where you prefer. What does your diamond painting look like that you're working on today? I've got one. Oh, it's a dragon. Ooh. I missed what we said. I saw you doing something. And that little bar is making it hard to read. Oh, cool. Well, thanks for that bit of info. It's like every time I saw something mentioned of a raid, I thought it had something to do with like the video game playing side of Twitch. So I was like, oh, well, I don't do that. The extent of my video game playing is The Sims 4. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. When I first started, I tried my hand at having some music in the background. Oh, that wasn't flying. I thought I found royalty-free music. No, it wasn't. And then another time, nobody could hear me over the music. So I just decided to crochet in silence. Unless I had somebody to talk to. And random jabberings. Because I can, I guess. Alright, our foot is going on. Just sewing it around. And obviously, well, I say obviously, but it might not be obvious. You would want to do this on both sides. But for the sake of time, I am only going to do the one side. But it is the exact same thing, just on the opposite. My very first, let's see, gotta have 10 issues to be a pro. Oh, see, now there's more lingo. I don't know what that means. Oh, 10, okay. I missed what you said before that. Now it makes sense. Okay. Gotta have issues, or it's not a Twitch stream. Got it. Okay. Well, then, let me tell you, about 2 streams ago, I became a pro, because there was every problem under the sun in that one. I straight up forgot to turn on my microphone for half an hour. So that was fun. Yeah. Had to edit that one out. when I moved it over to YouTube. I was like, dang, all that instruction is out the window. Oh, a motherboard blow up. Ew, I am sorry. That's an expensive issue. Like, I have this one hole, doesn't want to find a spot to go through. There it goes. All right. Foot is on. All right, now it's time for the tedious things. That's the only downside, is when you have tedious things. Like toes. I'm gonna sew some toes. So your toes are going to go 1, 2, 3 across the top of your foot. So you might, it's going to be hard to see here, almost guarantee. But if you're making this yourself, you might see that you kind of have like 3 little mounds across there. I don't know how well you can see it, but that's what we're going to attach our toes to. I'm going to start in the middle, just because it makes sense, because then they can be even. So I'm going to put this toe right on top of that little middle mound there, and sew that toenail on. This is where my perfectionism becomes a hazard. I am not naturally a perfectionist until I started doing this. And then I kind of lost my marbles. Everything had to be a certain way about it. And I would rework it forever until it was perfect in my eyes. And my husband, who is the perfectionist, then questioned me why I was so basically hell-bent on it being perfect, which just flabbergasted me. So I'm like, you of all people should understand. But he's silly like that. He has a very mechanic mind, which makes sense because he's now a mechanic. Alrighty. There is toe number 1. If I can get it through the hole. All right, tie that off. And send that through for stability. And done. Now, I am not going to torture you with watching me do that 2 more times, because again, it's just small and tedious. But he has a toe nail, and then you will attach your other, if I can get it separated, 1 toenail, 2 toenails to that one. So he's got 3 little toenails there. Right. So we got that one on. Now we're going to get his arm going. And just dawned on me that I don't have a tail on that. So, well, let me get one real quick. Bing! And once we get his arm on, We're going to do the final things of hit the flame and the eyes and the nose, and we're going to call it a day. And we are done with our little Charmander buddy. Oh, I almost forgot the foot pads. We got to put the foot pads on too. But we'll get to that, I promise. That's another one of those simple things. Alright, so if you are using the Pokeball that we made earlier, once you sew the arms on, you want to do a placement test. If you're not sewing the arms on, it's not that big of a deal, but if you are, you want to make sure that he's going to be able to hold that Pokeball at the correct angle with the arms. Okay? So if you want it straight out, make sure it's straight out. If you want it to go down a little bit, angle it down. Put it at the place where you like the most. So I think mine is going to go right there. And I'm going to stab it in. So I don't lose this place. There we go. And then you're just going to attach those arms onto the side. I'm going to tie that in real quick. Normally I leave a tail on everything, but I failed to do so on this one. I actually still have to make my second arm. So I will make sure that I have that extra tail at the end. Technically it's the beginning, if you recall. So, alright, here we go. Let's get this guy sewn in. Sorry if my southern accent comes out a little bit there. I am originally from a heavily accented area of North Carolina, and I've been going down memory lane of an old TV show watching Reba. So it's kind of there now. Usually it only comes out when I'm on the phone with my family. And Reba's got one of the strongest southern accents I think I've ever heard. And if you don't know who Reba is, that is Reba McEntire. She is a country music singer who's one of the best. Now, if you are not adding a Pokeball, I would say, this isn't part of the instructions, this is just me. If you want it to be able to move a little bit, don't only sew this back section, because then it gives you a little freedom to kind of play with it as part of your toy. You know, move it up. I mean, it doesn't have a huge range, but it gives you some range. If you are in fact doing a Pokeball, I probably recommend just a couple stitches to kind of station that in place, make it more stationary, just on the inside of the arm, probably about midway, quarter of the way, something like that. And I just dropped my yarn. Did you see it? It just popped right off. Going back up. There we go. And since I am adding a Pokeball to mine, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Just come up through the middle real quick. I'm stuck on his tail. and just add 1 or 2 stitches. And we're going to send it through the arm. I put a lot of stuffing in this arm, so it is hard to get a needle through it. Maybe if I go this way. There we go. He's looking cute, isn't he? I keep putting it the wrong way. He's at a point where you can really tell what he's supposed to be now, instead of all these just random orange parts. Alright, finish that one off. I'm going to do the next part. We are almost through this, y'all. Okay, I'm going to tie that off one more time since I've got that extra yarn. Like that to be secure. And then I'm going to send this through the body to hide the tail. I'm excited to show you this eye tutorial. I personally haven't found anything anywhere else on how to do one of these style of eyes. That is not to say that it's not out there. I just didn't find it. And I am not the best at making up my own stuff, so I'm personally a little excited about it. And if you don't like it, that's okay. I won't be hurt feelings. Alright. That one is done. He has an arm! Yay! He looks great from this side. Not so great from that side. But yeah, so that Pokeball is going to get sewn into his hand like that. There we go. That's the front of it with his little disc on the front. Alright. Gonna sew on a quick foot pad just so you can see it. Essentially the same thing as we've been doing before, but your foot pad is gonna go right smack in the center of your foot, just to give it that added look, and it lines up perfectly with the rounds, so it should go pretty quickly, provided I don't mess up. Do. Now, I said it would work quickly, but of course, such is my life, it's not. Maybe by the end of all of this, I will become a far better sewer, because that would be great. It would make everybody happier. Halfway through this one because I'm slow. Catching up to you fast sewers. I'm coming. I'm coming. Got just a couple more. Okay, there's that foot pad. Again, you will do the same thing on the other side with your other foot. Just sending this through so it's nice and secured in. And cutting that off. There we go. And he's got his foot pad. Woohoo! Alright, now, real quick, I'm only going to do a few strands just to show you how it works. I feel like I should have put some more stuffing in his head. But, so you're going to use just a normal yellow. So previously we used the light yellow. We're going to use, a normal, everyday, darker yellow. And this is going to be for the flame of his tail. So you're going to do that. You're going to get your red and your yellow, and you're going to make about 4-inch long pieces. I'm bad with measuring. Sure. I've never been one for measuring. Maybe that's a bit too long. There we go. I'm saying that long. Sure, right? You with me? Okay, here we go. So we're gonna do probably about, you'll want probably about 8 of each. Maybe less, maybe more, depends how full you want his tail to be. Maybe I'll go with 6. I'm gonna cut it off right there. Choo, choo. And then cut all of these. You want them to be individual strands. Okay, so we've got all the strands. And then with those, you're going to come to the back of the tail. And remember that beginning magic circle we did all around the outside of that first round. You're going to thread these through. So I'm going to start with the center red. Not with that, with your hook, because it's easier. So if you don't know how to do this, I'm going to try my best to show you. Okay. So you find one, you're going to stick it in like you would do a normal crochet. Okay. And pull through like you're adding some yarn. Okay. So you got your yarn through. Got this on the other side. Except now you are going to just pull that through to make a knot. Voila! That's all there is to it. Simple, simple. And you're just going to keep doing that around the tail in whatever kind of pattern you want your fire to look like, because that's what we're making, is the fire coming off his tail. So I kind of want mine to have a double layer with the red and the yellow. So I'll have the red in the center and the yellow on the outside. I'm going to do one more red one, and I'll throw some yellow in there, just so you can see the look of it. There's some red. Now I'm going to throw some yellow in there. Now, I do not have a slicker brush necessarily. I have taken our old pet brush, and that is what I'm going to be using. But if you have a slicker brush, that's the official, brush for these kind of things. I'm not one for unnecessary spending, so if I don't have to spend the money, I will find an accommodation. So that is what I did. Alright, so we got these. So if you've got your slicker brush, let me move this down here to my instructions so you can see what I'm doing. Like I said, I've just got a regular pet brush that I'm going to use. It'll essentially do the same thing. Slicker brush will be more adept to do this than this will be. All you're going to do is you're basically going to brush it out. And it's just tearing apart those fibers. And yes, you will rip some out, and that's okay. Oof, that one took a lot. If your yarn is like my yarn, you will find some knots in it. But basically, that's all you're going to do. Is you're going to brush it all out till it has that, basically like this, that fiery look to it. All the pieces I'm pulling out of it. And obviously you'll have several more pieces to go through. Alright, so I'm finding that maybe this isn't the best idea to try and use a pet brush. But, to each their own. I like to learn things the hard way. That's just how I roll. I'm just going to focus on this section right here, because this section seems to be working. Alright. But basically, what will happen is your whole tail will kind of look like that. With that very frayed kind of look, and then you will trim it back. I'm not going to trim mine yet because obviously it's not done, but you'll trim it back to get you that flame shape that you need. That shows you how to do your tail, and again, if you go to the instructions from oneupcrochet.com, it will have it there for you. Now we're going to do the final thing, which I'm excited about, to show you something new, or at least new to me. I made it, yay! So, as I said before, the pattern itself calls to use felt for the eyes and for the decoration of the Pokeball. I have never been a big fan of yarn things having non-yarn things on them unless they're safety eyes, because safety eyes are nice and simple and round and they don't fall off. But when it comes to the felt stuff, it's just gluing and I don't feel like it's very stable. But that's me. You may love the felt part of it, and if that's what you love, please, by all means, do it. But I wanted to give you a secondary option for the eyes, and I managed to figure it out. So I'm going to show you here. This is the eye I made. That is blue, and there's kind of like a deep turquoise kind of color. But instead of the felt, it is now a yarn eye that will go onto him here. So you can see it there. I think it looks pretty darn cute. I don't have the additional eye flare that the picture has, if you see next to it. See, I don't have the flare. But I've got that blue in there, and I think it's still pretty cute. You can always add that little bit of a flare. Just put a little white knot in there. I might go back and do it later. But I'm going to show you how to make this one if you want to use that one. Alright, so to start with, you will need your black yarn. And it's really honestly very simple. And if you know anything about crocheting, you could probably have figured it out all on your own because you're probably smarter than I am. But I'm proud of myself for figuring it out. So yeah. So you're going to do just a regular slip knot, and then you're going to do 4 chains, 4 chain stitches. We are going to single crochet 3 across, skipping that first chain stitch. Now for this one, we will not be doing a chain. We're going to just dive right into the next row, no chain on there. And we're going to do single crochet 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. And I'm just going to snip this extra tail that I was sewing into it. Just get it out of my way. Alright, then we're going to turn and single crochet 3 again. 1, 2, and 3. Turn once more. 1, 2, and go in. 3. Alright, so that should be 4 chains across the bottom. I'm going to skip the first chain and crochet into the chain 3 single crochet, followed by 3 more rows of single crochet. So you should have 4 rows in total. Next, we're going to turn. We are going to decrease 1 and then a single crochet. Turn, decrease 1. Boop. Now you've got the height of the eye that we're using. Whee! Oh, you can't see that because it's not in frame. So the height of the eye is what we got there. Now to give it kind of a finished look, I'm going to slip stitch around one side and around the bottom, but on the opposite side I'm going to single crochet. It's a lot easier to get the next step hooked into single crochets than slip stitches, so that's what we're going to do. And then when you make your second one, you're going to do it on just the opposite. So one side, the opposite side will get the single crochets, then the opposite side would get the slip stitch if you're making the right or the left eye. So since I already have this one, I want it to be, the single crochets to be on the left side of this eye. So you're just going to go around, single crocheting your edges. When you get to the bottom, in the corner, I put 2 slip stitches just to give it that nice hook there. If I can get my slip stitch to work here. It seems to be stuck on itself. Alright, let me just pull that out. That was one. There we go. Now my second is in there. Now we're just slip stitching around the rest. Back to another corner, so that gets 2 slip stitches. and then slip stitch up the other side. And back over the top. So you get to that. Once you get back to the top, sorry, having a hard time seeing the black. Once you get back to the top, you're going to do your color change to white. If I can get this to go. There we go. Alright, so in that first single crochet, okay, we're going to do our color change to white. I lost the end of my white yarn. Where'd you go, my friend? There you are. Got all knotted up on me. Okay. Here we go. So we're going to color change to white. Do not cut off. Okay. And then we're going to single crochet that white down the side of the black. So that should be, I think, four stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 down in the corner there. Oh, hold on. I need to get my tail in. I like to crochet my tails in so I don't have to sew them through later. Saves a step for me. Alright, there we go. Okay, now here we will put a stitch in. I'm sorry, not a stitch. My bad. Chain, that's the word I was looking for. I completely lost the word for it for a second. Alright, so chain 1, turn, and we're going to work our way right back up. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're going to end with a slip stitch across the top. And then tie that off. And you are going to leave a tail for the white and a tail for the black, because when we go to sew it on, we obviously do not want the white going into the black and the black going into the white, because that would look silly. You want to keep those pupils, not pupils, I haven't gotten the pupil, what's that, the iris. Now I've confused myself. Which is it, the iris or the pupil? It's the black part. Whichever one it is, because I can't remember now. Been a while since I've had to think about what the eye parts look like. Or are called, rather, not what they look like. Alright, now if you are wanting to put the color into it, all you're going to do is embroider it on there. If you don't want the color onto it, you obviously don't have to add the color onto it, but since I already have it in my one eye, I'm obviously going to put it on my other eye. So I just went in from the bottom. Now mine is It's very similar to what you see in the picture, and I'm pointing, but you can't see me pointing, but I'm pointing to the picture. Where it's just kind of that U shape. And however you see best as figuring in that U shape, you do that. Me, I started at the bottom, worked up one side, and then back down to fill it in, and then worked back up the other side and ended back where I started. So I'm going to go right in that same space and cut over. And I'll show you what I do here in just 1 second. So I went up one, and then up one more, and back down. So if you can see that, I started here in the center, I went over there, one at an angle to give me that part, then I went up one, so I went over at an angle, up one more, and then up one more, and then I'm going to work my way back down to fill in, and then work my way up the same way. So this time I'm going right in between the two stitches I just did. You know, unless I do that, that doesn't work very well, and I undo it. I'm back. Alright, back in. There we go. Alright. So I'm going to come back down to my bottom one. There it is. Back to the bottom one. And this time I'm going to go straight over to get that fill in, and then once again go back up. To make the U shape that I want. And do some more fill in. And cross over. And there we go. So there it is again. I don't know how well you can see it. It's not the best, but it's on there. And then we are just going to tie that off. Whee! Now I'm going to use 3 knots just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere before I cut it off. And this you do not need a tail for at all. So you can just cut those off. Say peace out, extra strands. Alright, and then you're going to place it where you want your eye to be, however far apart you want them, what have you. You can see my guy here. So about roughly like that. And so his eyes on there using the things you have there. And then the last thing there is to do is just to take your black yarn, and once again to sew. You're just going to give him his little nostrils. I'm going to hold an eye up here just for reference since mine aren't sewn in yet. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. So just inset from his eye down onto his little snout there. Okay. So there's the first one. And so I can see where the other one's going to be. I apologize for all the dinging. Apparently, one of my friends having an issue of some sort, and that's a group text. And I forgot to turn all the sound off. Okay. Here we go. Got his two little nose pieces there. I'm going to tie that off and then tuck that knot into the nose. And we have a completed Charmander, or else we will once you do all the other side. Just going to use my needle to shove that in there so nobody can see. And there you have it. There's our Charmander. I mean, he's not, obviously I didn't complete him on my side because I don't want to take up a lot of y'all's time. But you see the finished product, and if you've been following along, you're going to wind up with a very similar one too. Let me curl his tail up a little bit more like the picture. Okay. So once you get those on, obviously again, if you want the felt eyes, go ahead and glue, you're just going to glue those on, or use a felting needle if you know how to use one of those. I personally don't. And that's it. So next time around, so starting Friday, we are going to be starting our next project, which I think I decided is going to be Eevee. So if you are wanting to do an Eevee or just follow along to see what it looks like and have some fun with me there, we can do that. I am going to tell you what you need real quick. Let me bring it up. Boom. Oop, that's not what I wanted. Wrong button. All right, oneupcrochet.com once again is where we are going. And we're going to bring up Eevee here. Alright, so for Eevee, things you are going to need. You will need... I lost it. Where'd it go? There we go. 2 colors. Pretty easy. Light brown and cream. Okay, those are the only 2 colors you're going to need. And essentially, we're going to be doing almost the whole thing, kind of like Charmander here. We are going to just be doing the whole thing essentially in that light brown color. Okay? So there's that. We will get to the cream as we go. And then again, if you are wanting to, I mean, this will be down the way, so I'll give you plenty of time, but if you're wanting to crochet the eyes, you're going to need black and white. If you want to crochet the inner ear of the ears, because obviously that makes sense, it'll be a dark brown for that contrasting color, and black for accents for, you know, like the nose and the toes and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's what we're going to need next time, is that light brown color, and we're going to start doing her on Friday. And I think that'll be a fun one too. Obviously it's going to be, you know, roughly similar because it's a Pokemon. But there will obviously be differences because they have different legs and they have ears and all this kind of stuff. But if you know Amigurumi, it kind of all flows with the same way. So that's what's on tap coming up, and I will hopefully see you guys on Friday then. I hope you guys have a great week, and see you then. Bye.